Hello everyone. I would like to premise this presentation by letting any students watching this know that this is just one example of how to complete the final screencast for your Photography 1 course. I encourage you to think outside the box and be creative while creating your own video. Put your own spin on this final and make it stand out. You'll notice that I chose to focus on pictures I took with a 35mm camera, but you are welcome to use any of the projects or pictures completed throughout the entire school year. Finally, I would also like to let you know that I'm using the outline that was provided in class to guide me as I am talking during this presentation. This helps create a seamless video and ensures I am covering all the major objectives of this final screencast. Here's my example. Hello, my name is Dale West, and I am currently finishing up with my Period 7 Photography 1 class at Joliet Central High School for the 2018 school year. This video portfolio is going to give you a glimpse into lessons I learned and the fun I had while taking this class. One of the main reasons I signed up for this class is because of my passion to document the fun, interesting, and boring parts of my life. I always find myself taking pictures and videos of everywhere I am. I wanted to take this passion I have had and add more technical skills to become a better photographer. The other reason why I wanted to sign up for the class was because I wanted to learn about how photography started. In past years, I have seen other photography students walking the halls with a cardboard box, and they told me that this thing could take pictures. This intrigued me, and I wanted to learn how. This image was taken at a local car show that I attended in Orland Park, Illinois, and I titled it Sled. The first technical component I utilized with my 35mm camera was the use of AV mode. This mode allows me to focus in on the aperture setting to achieve great depth of field. My aperture setting in this image was set to an f/22. The second technical component I utilized occurred while I processed the image in the darkroom. While in the darkroom, I utilized different exposure times with the enlarger to achieve a perfect exposure. I also added in some magenta through the use of a filter on the enlarger. The first rule of composition I achieved in this image was angle of view. I had to get down on a knee and get right up in the grill of this old Chevy Bel Air. This composition also complemented the second and third compositions I utilized, which were symmetry and motion. The angle helped emphasize the symmetry of the round grill parts. The symmetry also complements the motion because it leads the viewer's eye from the left side of the image to the right side of the image. I chose this image because I have a passion for old cars. They intrigue me because of the ingenuity it takes to design and make them. I also found it fascinating to compare the old to the new. It is interesting to see how vehicles have evolved over time. The lead sled symbolizes the immense amount of modifications that gearheads make to their cars have made to their cars in the past. Gearheads is another name for people who really are into working on cars. Many of the old cars were heavily modified custom machines that the gearheads took pride in. As vehicles have evolved, it has become more difficult to perform these same modifications because of the evolution of technology within the vehicle industry. The meaning of this picture to me symbolizes the importance of our past and how it has evolved with the future. Pace Yourself was taken in Chicago, Illinois, on a bridge overlooking a train yard right after some rain had fallen. The first technical component I chose to use with my 35mm camera was TV mode. TV mode allowed me to adjust the shutter speed and freeze the freight train in motion. I did not have to choose a fast shutter speed because the freight train was just beginning to move. My shutter speed was 1/60th of a second. The second technique I used was my ISO setting. By adjusting this setting with my 35mm camera, I was able to achieve a more gritty image and really bring out the dirtiness of the yard. The ISO setting I used for this image was an 800. The first rule of composition I wanted to use in this picture was leading lines. The lines of the tracks and the trains help move the viewer's eye through the image. The second rule of composition I used was perspective. I cocked the 35mm camera at an angle I found interesting. By doing this, it creates a different view of the train yard that people are not used to seeing. The image almost makes you cock your head a little. This helps the viewer become physically involved with the image. I chose this image because of the grittiness of the train yard. I felt puddles of water with the ripples and reflections also countered this grittiness, almost as if the rain was trying to clean the train yard up. The story of Pace Yourself image is to start slow and soak in all the information or rain that you can. Many of us just need to take our time in the beginning before we can really get moving and achieve our goals in life. Choose Your Path was taken along some train tracks in Tinley Park, Illinois with a 35mm camera. The first technical component I was trying to achieve was my skills within the manual mode setting. I paid close attention to the light meter to ensure I was achieving a perfectly exposed image. The second technical component I utilized was in the darkroom. I added some magenta through the filters on the enlarger to help improve the image. The first rule of composition I used was an ant's eye view. I laid down on the ground to create a view that you are not used to seeing. This then led me into leading lines. This composition was achieved by getting close to the train tracks and using them to lead the viewer from the lower right corner of the image to the upper middle of the image. This also creates a sense of motion for the viewer as they look at it. I chose this image because of the perspective it creates for my viewers, and I really enjoyed getting a little dirty to create this image. I mean, how often are you lying down on the ground next to a set of train tracks? I also don't recommend this because it is dangerous. The story behind Choose Your Path is a simple one. For me, it means to follow your gut. I believe that deep down inside you know your strengths, and it is important to use those strengths to move towards your interests and goals. The final image I'm going to share with you was taken at the same auto show I took the first image at. I titled this image Self-Reflection. My advice for future photo students is to stay on task. It can be easy to get distracted, but if you focus on the task at hand, you will really be surprised with the skills you gain and the cool projects you create. The most valuable lesson I learned while taking this Photo 1 course was to self-reflect. It is important to hold yourself accountable. Self-reflecting allows you to realize your strengths and weaknesses. This in return provides a path to improvement. Finally, I would like to leave you with a quote. Self-reflection is the school of wisdom, by Balthazar Grazian. I would like to thank you for your time and viewing my final screencast video for my Photo 1 class.